Guess who learned a little bit about camera lighting this week? It was me. It's me. I'm learning. Hello, super friends! As you can see, I'm feeling so wagalicious today because I've got a new little setup over here so that I can talk to you beautiful super friends and not accidentally give you any spoilers or have to clean off my desk. Today, we are going to make you super. Not that you aren't super already, but if you've ever found yourself in a spot where you're inventing some character with superpowers, whether that character is going to save the world or destroy it, it's really helpful in the storytelling process to really think through your character's superpowers and what that means in the context of your universe. Now, it's not necessary for you to acquire a degree in biophysics or chemistry or any of that kind of stuff, because chances are your fans probably won't either. What is important is that you give it some careful thought so that when you apply those superpowers in a given situation, your audience isn't taken out of the story all of a sudden because they want to say, "Hey, that doesn't work like that." So let's take a little dive back into the history of superheroes. Let's just say we've come a long way in telling stories about people with extraordinary abilities. One of the oldest and most popular superheroes, Superman, didn't really start off the way that we envision his power set today. In the original stuff, he couldn't even fly.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Superman!
Not fly. Leap. I know what you're thinking. Really? He couldn't even fly? How weird is that? But I promise it gets weirder. When Superman became a bigger hit, the creators and the publishers and the marketers tried to figure out what it was that made him so successful. And they tried to capitalize on those concepts to make him an even bigger success. One of the things that they tried to do this was to pile on more and more unbelievable powers. Emphasis on unbelievable. At one point, he even had the power of super ventriloquism, like, why? Over time, some more of his weird, extraneous superpowers faded from memory and, thankfully, disappeared from canon. So how can you make your own character's superpower skill set into something that's believable and something that the audience can engage with? Here comes a hot plate of Annie's artist advice. Number 1, decide on one central concept to build your superpowers around. Giving your character too many superpowers is just one easy way to make your character completely unbelievable. Take, for example, Shazam. His powers are actually so extensive in canon that they weren't even able to demonstrate them all in the latest movie with Zachary Levi. That movie had plenty of other problems that interfered with that whole storytelling, but we won't get into those today. There's a reason why the superpowered characters that you make when you're little don't generally make the cut when you start to mature in your craft.
Well, you want to know why my superhero is the best? Because her name is Super Annie, and she has all the superpowers. She has super strength, she can fly, she's invulnerable, she's invulnerable, she can shoot laser beams out of her eyes, and she can control electricity, and when she sings the magic song, all the bad guys turn into puppies and kitty cats, and then rainbows and chocolate fall out of the sky, and then...
It also streamlines your whole story concept if you just have one central theme. It's easier for your audience to more quickly understand what your character is all about and then get right into the plot, the meat of the story. And it will help you as a creator to have one cohesive style for your character. Number 2, create a source for their powers. How does your superpowered character get those powers? Whether it's the result of a scientific experiment gone wrong, or some kind of magical talisman that they use, or a specific incantation that activates them, you need to have something concrete that the audience can hold on to for the source of their power. It's the reason why your character is different from all the other ones in the universe. It distinguishes them. Again, you don't have to have a degree in physics or biochemistry to invent something on the science side of things. On a dark and stormy night, when our hero was working with some unstable chemicals, the lab exploded, giving her superpowers. There's a reason why this plot device always works. For example, the Hulk simply had been inundated with some type of gamma radiation. That's it. That's all Stan Lee needed to make a character that was memorable, sort of scientific enough to believe, and still left room for the science to develop, but also made it compelling enough to give us more of the backstory on the character of Bruce Banner. It also helps to open up new opportunities for places in your story where your character doesn't have their superpowers. This is a great way to stir up tension in your story so that you can continue to pull the audience into your plot. And this point leads us to number 3. Find or create weakness in your power set. For Superman, this was kryptonite, the classic example of a secret weakness. Kryptonite was another one of those elements that wasn't in the original versions of Superman. Because the character got so strong and so powerful, it was almost impossible to find any kind of supervillain that would give him a really good fight. And when there's not that opportunity for someone to go head to head and there's no risk involved in the story that, the protagonist might fail, then the story gets awfully flat. There has to be some kind of risk involved, something that gives your character a chance to experience the world without their powers, because that really gives us perspective as audience members to see how things work in this universe. Again, no super science degree is necessary. Just think about it logically. For example, if your superpower is biologically based, like if, for example, your character is a mutant, just use human physiology to showcase their weaknesses. Like, for example, if your character gets tired or hangry. Even superheroes have to eat.
Hey, Super Annie, can you fix my computer? I think I got a virus.
I can't right now. I'm updating.
When your character has these kind of obstacles to overcome in the story, the audience really starts to get invested, and that's when you can really show where your character is developing. Number 4, put your powers into practice. Think about how your character might use that superpower in everyday situations. How many other people out there always tried to turn the light switch off with their telekinesis that they didn't have when they were a kid?
Oh, darn it. I forgot to turn off the light. There we go.
But also, think about how they might use their power creatively in some kind of combat scenario. In my opinion, one of the coolest and most creative examples of thinking about a superpower set creatively comes from one of my all-time favorite shows, Avatar: The Last Airbender. In one hauntingly chilling episode, we discovered that very powerful waterbenders, under specific circumstances, can learn to bend the water molecules in another living thing. For example, plants or animals or even other humans. In the show, it became a martial art form called blood bending, which was totally, mind blown. If you're not the first person to think about how this power set can be applied in this way, that's perfectly okay. The fact that you as the creator understand exactly what those powers are and how they can be applied not only opens your story up to more opportunities, but it makes your representation of these powers much more believable and, consequently, much more compelling. Number 5, make adjustments for simple logical fallacies. In other words, just think about it a little bit. This is the big takeaway from this video. Once you've put your powers into practice, just take the next step and think about what's going to happen basically in regular physics. For example, if your character has a superpower of creating fire with their hands, for example, like the superhero in my next book, Brighter, then logically speaking, their body should also be heat resistant. Otherwise, whenever they start the fire, their hand is just gonna burn. And if you need a bad example, just take the classic thing of invulnerable clothes.
You'll never get away with this! You broke my wristband! Do you know how long it takes me to make these?
The most important thing, of course, is not the power set itself. It's the character development. Genuinely original superpower sets or applications of superpowers are actually really rare and hard to come by, especially after more than 100 years of examining this type of thing in stories. And even if that superpower set is, unique or novel, it won't stand up and it won't be remembered if there's not a strong enough story to back it up. It's not enough for someone to say, well, what if someone could do this? It's all about how it happens. So if you need to, go ahead and steal a power set from another character that you like. I do it sometimes too. Once you've stolen it, however, make sure to follow these steps and apply it to your character so that you can make it your own. Because a lot of superpowered characters in the modern storytelling arena today haven't actually thought all of these things through. You can make your story just as super as your character by following these steps, because that's how you make a truly compelling superpowered character. If you come up with a really cool superpower or find something interesting about this video, go ahead and put it in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can see our new videos that come out every single Saturday. Have fun out there, super friends, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, Ranger Blanky, what are you doing? Are you sitting on a toilet? How did you get up there? So silly. You gonna jump down? Boing! Good kitty cat.